The ultimate mission of human beings is oneness. Life is good, not because it's always technically good, just because I want to remind myself that no matter the event of my life, this experience is here to lead me to my higher self. And that mindset shifted everything for me.
The happiest people are not the people who have the perfect life, it's the ones who choose to see the light, not the darkness.
When you walk through that fire and when you decide to just say, you know what, I'm gonna do one step a day. I'm here anyways. I'm sitting here in the bottom line. I'm just gonna do one step a day. Everything else will burn around you, and what will remain is the gold, the light that you are made of. And that's your gift. Mother have such a core and foundational role in humanity because they're the first one to guide all humans. Literally 8 billion people started with a mother. How much longer are we willing to suffer until we welcome abundance in the human experience?
Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to Mimi Ikonn podcast. I'm so grateful and excited to be here, especially because my guest is the one and only Samy, my dear friend and a brother. Samy, before we begin this interview and before I give you some sort of an introduction, because my podcast is not so much about who the person is, but what they represent. Yes, we've all done big things and great things in our lives. But I think most importantly, it's about the energy and the presence that we bring to the world and the people around us. And you're such a special human being. But before we begin, can we take 10 seconds just to bring our attention to our bodies? Close your eyes for a moment. And if you're listening to this podcast, do the same. I really encourage you to do the same. Just bring yourself into your body. Take a nice deep breath. And just for a few seconds, maybe put your hand on your heart if it feels comfortable to do so. Just take a few moments to acknowledge your body and this beautiful energy, your soul that lives inside the body. And what a blessing it is. Maybe you want to hug yourself. Maybe you just want to touch your body and honor it. And whenever it feels comfortable, you may open your eyes. I feel like when we do this kind of ritual, at any point in our lives, we go from our head to our body because we all spend so much time in our heads. So Samy, thank you for being here. I've interviewed you before and I'm really excited for our conversation today because I feel like I've known you now for a few years, and as I get to know you and I get to see you go through different life transitions and experiences, it's almost like I see different layers of you come off and more authentic Samy that I get to see one-on-one always shine through in your public life, in your public persona as well. Just to give you some sort of an introduction for anyone listening or maybe is not familiar with you. You are, a serial entrepreneur. You had a modeling agency before. Then you shut that down and you created this online platform for models. And now you're an expert in AI. You're an author. You've written a book, Positive Focus. You're multi-talented. There's so many things you have done. But most importantly, again, it's not the things that we do, but who we are and what we represent. This is what I like to uncover on this podcast. And for me, you represent absolute energy of walking gratitude that you embody everywhere you go. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to let you talk. But I just want to say how grateful I am that you're here and how grateful I am that also you are putting yourself out there into the world more and more. That makes me so excited and so happy. So this will be one of the many conversations we will probably have on this podcast.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you for first being a family to me. I always say, in meeting me during my transition and my most difficult period of my life, you have been a guiding light, unconditional support and love, and a presence that has surrounded me that have loved me, and that have inspired me to be more of me. So every layer that I managed to peel off, you are a meaningful contributor to that journey. And I just have so much love and so much admiration for the woman you are, because in every room you enter to, you magnify and heal people. So
You
thank
do
you,
the
sister.
same. You do the same. We vibrate on the same frequency. That's why we love each other so
We love
much.
it.
I want to ask you, Samy, because I think a lot of times a judgment I personally get by being someone who tries to be always, the word positive is maybe not the right word, because I feel like I do show now, especially more than ever on social media, how I go through difficult moments or sadness or other emotions. But overall, I'm someone who focuses on glass half full rather than glass half empty. And sometimes I would get this judgment like it's easy for you to be grateful or it's easy for you to be positive because your life is great. And I think you probably, maybe people don't say it to you, but people certainly say it to me about you. They almost don't believe that someone can be this positive, that it's almost like it's not real. It's almost like it's a facade and it's a show. Can the person actually be this happy and this positive, truly see the beauty and the gratitude in everyday simple moments? I suppose what I'm trying to connect it with is that for me personally, I think we are here today because of the choice we have made in the past as we went through life's difficult moments. So perhaps maybe focusing on some of the challenges you have faced, because I think the happiest people are not the people who have the perfect life, it's the ones who choose to see the light, not the darkness.
And I totally agree with you. Firstly, I don't believe you should live your life having to justify how other people perceive you. That's the first thing, where you should remove those voices from inside your head. That will save you a lot of peace. And secondly, I'm like this just because I'm so aware of the uniqueness of my experience. When you come from a 20-house village in the west of Africa and you find yourself in London in this beautiful apartment, living this beautiful life, getting to walk through Hyde Park. When I moved to London the first time and I arrived in Hyde Park, I was like, wow, this is so cool. This park. And now I get to live 1 minute walk from the park. I get to go to the best gyms. You know, I used to not have any gyms to go to. Now I go to all these social clubs. How would I not be aware of the abundance in my life? Like all of this, when your bottom line, when your starting point is -0 and you're arriving at 1, you remember, you didn't forget. So when I wake up every single day, I get to go after my dreams. I get to follow my highest excitement. I don't have to go work at McDonald's like I was when I was 16. I don't have to share my bed.
I didn't know you worked at McDonald's.
I worked for one summer at McDonald's.
I worked in a fast food restaurant too.
Of course. But all these
gotta do what
things
you gotta do.
are meaningful experiences because they show you the opposite side. And I think that's why the most positive people are actually positive, because they experience the opposite. They experience extreme hardship and they come out of it and say, wow, I remember life is that good. I'm always like this. And maybe I'm lucky because I also just, to be honest, fell into it when I was a kid. I was just born always so positive and happy. But I face hardships. Or I get punched. Life is punching every
What are some
single of us.
hardships? Tell us.
It's
Something
always
specific.
physical.
Yeah.
I ruptured my 2 Achilles tendon, my weakest point.
This is very recent, actually.
Very recent. They ruptured both of them. But every single time it happened, I was literally on the floor smiling and laughing. Because hardship is harder when in your mind, you anchor hardships to the experience you are living. That's why I always say life is good. Not because it's always technically good, just because I want to remind myself that no matter the event of my life, this experience is here to lead me to my higher self. And that mindset shifted everything for me. But why are also you going through those difficult moments, and you recently went from one that is life altering and you still decide to show up with that smile and you still decide to show up with that positive energy? Because some people go through very dark times when they make decisions like you did.
You're asking me a question. I love this. So we turn the tables. Why do I choose to be positive? Well, first of all, I realize there's a choice, and that is the free will. You can choose to be miserable or you can choose to be happy. And the choice is the attitude. And this is one of things I've been saying for years. The only power we have in this lifetime, the only control we have, we can't control other people, we can't control the weather, the situations, our work, our career, life, but all we can control is our attitude. And that makes all the difference. This doesn't mean that you're happy and positive from morning till night. I literally cry all the time. I'm a crybaby. I love crying. I see something cute, I cry. I don't really watch that many movies, but whenever I watch a movie, I would cry, or maybe it's a reel, something touching. Like, I get emotional because I feel things deeply. So it's not that it's just always happy, happy, happy. It's realizing that I can choose to see the good in every moment. And also, it's been a habit, Samy. It's not like I've always been like this or have felt this way. You know this about me, that in my early 20s, I've struggled with a lot of anxiety, with a lot of depression. And I've seen the other side. I've seen the depth of my own shadow. And I realized that it had to happen so I can feel for others. I can have more empathy, because I feel like if you just always stay in the positive and the happy, and you don't allow for yourself to also feel the depth of the darkness, you might not resonate with other people's suffering. So I resonate with the suffering. I know it's real, but I also know I don't need to dwell in it. So as we go through lives, by the way, you said so casually that you torn both of your Achilles. For anyone who doesn't know what this injury is really like, first of all, it happened to you 3 years ago when we first had the first Intelligent Change Summit. When that is torn in your knee, you basically can't walk.
You can
months.
Basically,
it's the worst. You said it's the worst injury, right?
The worst injury, but it happens often when you reach your 30s as well.
Yeah.
Your Achilles tendon, you have one tendon that makes your foot move. So it's right behind your ankle, and when it snaps, you basically cannot move your foot. You are sitting still. You have no movement is possible, and you sit in this season of isolation. And when you are used to move and travel and live the life that we live, sitting in stillness can be extremely painful. But not only I was going through that, I never got injured in my life. Never got any health problem. Never a single one.
So this was your first time?
This was my first time, and within a year.
Considering how ambitious you are, I'm surprised.
And I'm like, wow, and I have so much energy, and still I never got injured. When you go through ego death, and when you go through so much pain, everything changes in your life. It's not just like your body that shuts down. You lose your business. You lose all your friends that was associated. So I lived many deaths, and I'm so aware of how painful is the experience, how painful is the judgment that you have upon yourself, how shameful it feels to walk into a room where now you are being judged, where you are being celebrated. All this experience of pain, shame, suffering, even loss, I work in those fires. And when you walk through that fire, and when you decide to just say, you know what, I'm going to do one step a day. I'm here anyways. I'm sitting here in the bottom line. I'm just going to do one step a day. What? Do you want me to die? No, I cannot die. I'm just going to decide to show up tomorrow. I will stay in bed for 6 months and cry, but after 6 months, I will get up and do one step. And when do you do those one step within the fire, everything else will burn around you, and what will remain is the gold, the light that you are made of. And that's your gift. It's God and the universe way to remind you what is your true essence. So those fire, those painful moments are only here to liberate you from your own shadows. And your darkness is the canvas for transformation of your life. Your light will activate his magic power to put light upon your darkness and will reveal yourself. So when you are in that tunnel, that dark tunnel, and you see the light in the tunnel, at some point the light shifts from being at the end of the tunnel, from being inside of you. And that's when you feel liberated,
When you say this, by the way, I love it. I resonate with every single word. I'm curious, how is it that I literally see the world like you? Like, is this a belief we've received, or is this inner knowing that we have in our soul, that when we hear truth, whether somebody is listening right now, they're in the States, they are in Cameroon, they are in Australia, they're sitting there in their car nodding their head because they know they just have heard the truth. Where do you think this wisdom comes?
Honestly, I came down to the conclusion that it's a vibrational thing. Every being in the same vibration receive the same information kind of in the same way, because we filter that information with that vibration. And that's also why we are all attracted by each other. We can travel the world and all of us know all the same type of people all around the world. We're all connected. And in some ways, we also don't meet people on a very different vibration. We never encounter them, as if the world was hiding them from us and we were being hidden from them, you know? So I think we're all kind of on the same tune, and I think it comes from a deep knowing, as you said. We don't live in maybes, we don't live in what you did. I'm so proud, and I always tell you how proud I am of you, because one day you stood up and you say, I know life wants better for me. I know I have a better, greater experience and calling upon my life. That's where I'm sitting today. So I'm going to take the decision that is not hard, it's painful, it's the most difficult things you had ever done. But when you live with that deep knowing, which is not faith, which is not maybes, is deep certainty, you stood up and you say, here I go. And look at you, you're shining every day.
And I want to add to what you're saying. Thank you, by the way, for reflecting that to me. When you say better, it doesn't mean I left a relationship for a better relationship. It's that I left the relationship because I knew there is an inner expansion and growth that needs to happen that for some reason cannot happen in the container of this relationship. And it's such a painful thing to admit to yourself.
But you still did. Let me ask you, how do you always live in that knowing? How do you just live in that knowing of your amazing, unique, and beautiful experience?
I think it's the connection to my intuition. I have been always very aware of it since I was a little girl. I knew that it was different because even as a little girl living in Baku, Azerbaijan, I knew I'm not going to spend the rest of my life there. And my peer group didn't have the same feeling or knowing. So they would look at me when I would tell them, I'm going to live in North America. They would just look at me thinking, she's lost it. How is she going to go there? How is she going to live there? But I just knew in every cell of my body, in the pit of my stomach, that I am meant to travel, explore, and live in many places, not just one, which is now the truth. London was my third home. And who knows where else I will end up. So I feel like cultivating that relationship with my intuition has been a lifelong journey. I've not been so aware of it as much as I have in the last, I would say, 2-3 years as I went through my most recent life transition, which was living a long-term relationship with my ex-partner, our beautiful friend.
And he's my brother, you know, he's my best friend.
By the way, I just have to mention this in this podcast that anytime we post a video, I think because we vibe on the same frequency, that I get so many messages asking if you and I are a thing. And I always laugh because I'm like, they're not completely off because you have a Mimi.
I have a Mimi too.
Actually, Samy does have not even a girlfriend anymore, a fiancé, a wife-to-be, Mimi, who is a good friend of mine as well, who I absolutely adore.
And also Alex Ikonn is my brother. You all know that Alex Ikonn is my brother. So guys.
But, you know, people love to speculate. And I think that's part of human nature.
It's exciting. I think they see it, they're like, oh, a new story. It's like a telenovela, you know, and I think it's fun. But I love what you just said. The first principle almost for all of us is we live in knowing. And also what I see is we live in surrendering to the flow of life. We don't attach. All of us go through very traumatic events. And I have so many friends who go kind of health problems, business problems, all of these things. But I think for us, we kind of just surrender to it and we flow with it. We don't put that anchors that make it heavier than it already is. And we kind of say, if this is my path, this is my path. And I have to say that's also why I have so much admiration for you, because when you meet people, you don't judge where they are in their journey. You just look at their light, and that's your kind of your guiding matrix to love and support and welcome people into your life. And that really taught me as well a lot about how do I surround myself, who do I surround myself with, because I used to be like, oh, this people is so cool because he's famous. Those people, you know, just like you grow up. And I realized that actually I don't care. I care about people who enlighten me, raise my vibrations, love unconditionally, and people that makes you remember who you are. And I feel like my life has elevated, and I keep telling you that all the time when you say no, but just because of your presence. You remember the Cape Town trip? Walking in the trip? Oh my God. Together. It was like, you know, it was such an amazing moment, and you were there walking next to me as if you were my guide, you know, and we're living all these experience and people reacting to our energy. People, when I tell that story to people, they don't believe it. They're like, what were you doing? I'm like, we're just walking down the street with Mimi. That's it. And I think because your light is empowering my light and vice versa. And that's really like, I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you, my love. I have to share the story, by the way. You don't know this, but when I recently started doing affirmation workshops. I've done one in Amsterdam like a couple of months ago. I brought you up in my affirmation workshop as the affirmation friend that I have. You are a walking, talking affirmation machine. I mean, maybe machine is not the right word, but like if anyone uses affirmations in their benefit and embodies it literally in every step of their life, you would be the best example. And the way you do it, and I'm curious to hear how you got into affirmations, because I know for you, it's not just about labeling them as an affirmation, it's about telling yourself a story. And I'm curious if your story was different before and then you've changed it later. And now, or even if you're aware that you're doing it. I know you are now because I've made you aware of it a couple of times in personal conversations. But for example, that trip in Cape Town, you kept walking around saying, everywhere I go, I magnetize incredible things into my life. People, opportunities, free drinks. It could be anything. And as you would say these things, it's by miracle, almost like your reality would match what you were saying. And then you would keep repeating it. And then it just kept elevating your experience and frequency. And it was just unbelievable thing to experience. And I literally haven't met anyone ever who uses affirmations. Again, affirmations is just a label. It's a self-talk. Anything we tell ourselves, we cast a spell. Right? That's why it's called spelling.
And that's why I don't use swear words. Anybody around me,
very rarely,
that is using swear words, I just like look, because that's the energy you send to your life. And there is something very powerful that we all have to keep in mind is what's the story of your life. The more you repeat those lines, those stories, I'm the luckiest man alive. I'm the luckiest man. I keep saying anybody I meet, all the time. I said I'm the luckiest man you will ever meet in your entire life.
Give us your top 10 affirmations that you give yourself every day.
Life is good. Life is so good. Life is good is the first one because it just reminds you of no matter the experience again of your life, life is always good because life works as you, life works for you. Life is good. I'm the luckiest man. I welcome abundance. Abundance flows through me in any shape of way because abundance, I have to just specify this, abundance is not money. Abundance is the ability to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it. Sometimes I'm at the airport, my plane is about to leave, I just show up and I smile at the gate, they open the gate, they put me in a car, they drive me back to the back of the plane and I can get in the plane. Not once, it happens to me all the time. Same thing, you want to go to a restaurant, you're like, I want to go dinner tonight. Someone invites you to dinner and you don't have to pay for anything. That's abundance. You receive the same experience, but because you just had to show up with your friends. So abundance is not money. It's whatever you want to do it, whenever you want to do, the universe provides. The first principle for this, speaking those words, is gratitude.
Right.
You have to be so present and aware of the beauty of the human experience that, you always say thanks to life. You're like, thanks more, thanks more, thanks more. And you do it too when you say thanks more. Because when you sit being present, I just feel like I'm an observant and I'm an actor yet observant of my life. This soul is sitting into this body and this body is seeing those moments in his life flashing before his eyes. And when you feel like that, you're like, wow, what a beautiful movie. When you're not sitting in that awareness, you will sit in your feeling and your feeling of that, something bad is happening, something this. I've lived the roller coaster and we all live because life is a roller coaster. But being grateful for this precise moment, especially when you look at everything that is happening in the world, you're like, wow, thank you, God. Thank you that you know. Exactly. So be grateful and say it to the world. Don't only say it to the world, say it to everyone around you. I walk down the street, 5 people, I'll tell them, oh my God, beautiful shirt. I especially love doing it to men. So I have a thing, every time I see a man next to a woman walking down the street, I'll look at men and be like, oh, beautiful shirt, man. Wow, where is it from? Man, you got this. And so many times, it just like the woman is like, oh, it's me, I got it for him. Oh, it's this. And I see them then interacting as if someone else were seeing them. And it's just so beautiful. I do that and I will receive it. When we're walking down the street and these people in the restaurant were like, who is this guy? Let's take a picture. And they were clapping us. Because I also do it to others, the universe is giving it back to me tenfold. Everywhere I go, I just receive, this applause. I don't know people and people don't know me because I'm not a public figure like that. But they still react in this amazing way to my energy because I'm grateful, because I live, with positivity and light. So I invite everybody else, to always, when you wake up in the morning, take 10 breaths and you realize your life is not that deep. The problem you are going through, we all go through that. We go all to health. I don't minimize it. It's sometimes heavy and hard, but you're still alive.
You said the keyword energy. I keep thinking about that word all the time, especially when I do feel like my energy maybe has dipped. Yeah. I remind myself that, again, going back to that, the power that I have over my attitude, that affects my energy. And as I walk on the street, it's my energy that can be infectious and magnetizing. And then people want to come up to you. They want to talk to you. They want to ask you out. If you're single and you want to get in a relationship, your energy is what is going to attract this particular person, or even friendships, right? Attracting business opportunities, new friendships, anything. If your energy is not a conducive energy that people want to be around,
then it's not.
It's gonna be harder for you.
It's gonna be way harder.
And you have complete control over your energy. And this is something that gives me a lot of power. Because I realize, again, this is something I have control over. I might not have control over so many other things, but I get to choose what I do in the morning. For example, for me, working out gives me energy. Doing my 5-minute journal gives me energy. And what kind of energy gives me? Positive energy, right? Because if you're around negative people or watching the news, what kind of energy is it going to give you? It's going to drain your energy. It's not going to give you energy. It's going to subtract energy from you. I think it's just something important to mention is that your energy is the most important value you bring to the world.
Just because you gave out some gems here, what are your 3 ways, the 3 protocols that you implemented into your life that gives you energy or recenter you to your energy level?
Such a great question, Samy. So 3 ways that I recenter myself. I would have to say, number 1 is to move my body. I think Tony Robbins says this, emotions comes from motion, right? I don't know if you remember this. This is his quote.
Okay. So please repeat that slowly for the audience.
Emotion comes from motion. So he would always say, what is the body language of someone who is depressed, right? Like, let's just imagine it. They're slouching, their head is down. So if you catch yourself doing a depressed person or a sad person or a victim body, how can you change that? So right away, you open your shoulders, you look at the sky, right? Looking up is already opening your chest, you're breathing deep, out of a sudden starting to feel more energized. So for me, it's knowing that as long as I move my body every day in the way that makes me happy, which for me, I have certain workouts that I've been using the same app, Femnativa. Shout out to the girl. She's amazing, Rachel Attard. Super easy, 30, 40-minute workouts every day. I've been doing it for years. On top of that, now, for example, I'm practicing how to do handstands. That is giving me incredible energy. I don't know what it is about maybe being upside down, blood going to your head. Maybe it's the fact that every day I get to see my body holding me in a new way. There's probably multiple reasons, but the most beautiful thing is that from physical activity, your energy shifts, and that gives me power in the way that I feel and in the way that I carry myself through the world. Number 2, for sure, is gratitude. This is something that we've talked about already, but I think it's worth mentioning again because gratitude comes from the mindset of abundance, right? And we can all sit down and think about all the ways our life is lacking now, right? But what will be the value of that? There isn't. Right? Okay, one could argue that if you look at the things that you're lacking, you can maybe get those things. Or, of course, there should be some level of value, but if you're constantly focusing on what's missing, again, you are not energizing yourself. When you look at life every morning, the first thing you do is that you just think of what's good. Again, your brain naturally starts focusing and filtering throughout the day all the other things in your life that are good. And by focusing on that, you just attract more of the good. So that definitely shifts my energy drastically. And number 3, I would have to say, is surrounding myself with other positive people like you, because energy amplifies. And I have noticed many times, I have very strong boundaries. It doesn't mean that everyone I have in my life and I only hang out with select few people who are like you, vibrating at a high vibration and have the same values. That is not true. I do have friends in my life now more than ever are going through their challenges and who I would say in the past have more of a shadow. And if I'm honest, I would avoid these people even a few years ago because I wasn't comfortable with my own shadow. So now I definitely have more, I would say, alternative friendships in my life where even some of my friends would say, why do you have this girl? She's like this. And I just know that I see the light in, let's say, that particular girl. And I know that her darkness comes from her upbringing or the trauma she had. Why am I bringing this up in this particular situation? Is that having said that, it's important to have boundaries with how much time you spend with people who you do notice drain your energy. And majority of my time, I would say 80-20. For me, 80% I spend with people who amplify me, who bring me up, who hold space for me, who are vibrating on similar frequency, and the rest, anything goes, right? Because we cannot ignore life and all its beauty and all its complexity. And yeah, I'm curious, what about you?
This is so beautiful, and this is again why we're aligned, because we have the same. We have the same and we call them differently. For me, the first one is, I call it positive solitude, because I am so high energy when I meet people. I am so excited to meet every single human being that I meet, whoever it is. I just love humans that I give, and then my energy gets depleted. So at least 15% of my time, I spend it alone doing nothing. Not scrolling on social media, not just creating and receiving downloads. And because my way of working is not like I'm sitting there working all day. Sometimes I'll just like open my notepad with white paper. I have like coloring things on my computer, I have music playing, and I'll just sit there and do nothing. And suddenly I will have a download. And that download, I will go deep for 3 hours in writing all these things and concept. So I don't force myself. I let the universe, the code, God, whatever, gives me the answer, because I don't know. I don't even think I receive. I really believe that I don't. My ideas are in so many ways never mine. They just come so fully formed, my visions, that is almost scary sometimes. I'm like, oh, someone else is thinking about this thing? So positive solitude for me has been the most recharging, because I only cultivate my own energy field. So when my cup is getting empty, when I stay alone, the battery fully charged, and I can receive, I can hear myself. Hearing your own voice is so important. Secondly is the people. Oh my God, the people is actually the main thing. All you need is the right people. The right people around you changes your entire experience of life. You are a genius with the wrong people. You are still a genius, but you are with the wrong people that cannot magnify that genius, that genie. When you're with the right people, you get everything else that comes with being the right people. And the third one that I have is, I call it following your highest excitement. 5-minute dancing, 10 minutes headstand. Just the little things that fully reunites you, that makes you feel happier, that you're like, oh my God, I like this. Because it adds the juice to your life. It adds the little like, ooh, I just did this cool thing that I like very much. So sometimes you don't need to spend all your career only focusing on that, being one-dimensional being. You can be multifaceted and do little different things that really energize you. Go to get your matcha coffee if your matcha is really that thing, because it will give you that smile. And when you're going to cross the street with that smile, a guy across the street will be like, ooh, who is that girl like jumping around like this? Let me go talk to her. Just because you went to work to get your matcha and went back home. So doing what excites you, following your highest excitement, and when you're surrounding the people, yet spending time alone to remember who you are, has been for me the most liberating, energizing, and uplifting experience of my life. And I do that every single day. That's my routine. My life is set now. I used to be surrounded by everyone. My phone started ringing at 6 a.m. until midnight every single day. And I lost myself. I lost myself trying to be with everyone, but I understood that God gave me. It's enough.
I love that. We have literally the same list, just different
titles, different ways of seeing it.
We express it. Can we talk about the color of your skin?
Yes, we can.
right? Because it's a story.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, our culture, the color of our skin, the environment where we were raised, the country, nationalism, all of these things, I see them as stories. I personally am someone who doesn't subscribe to a lot of it. But I realize I'm very privileged in the way that I've been raised. And I know that this is a topic I'd like to not only learn more about, but I'm just curious to go deeper to feel for others who have been raised in different experiences. Because I will never know what it feels like genuinely to be raised as an Indian person or as an Asian person or as an African person. So I'm curious. What is your story about the color of your skin? Because yours is very unique. I want to validate people who have certain experiences because I think it is reality as well.
And I will start by saying it's the first time I will speak about this publicly because I never do. And also, I'm extremely lucky, extremely fortunate to have the mother that I had because she conditioned my entire vision and experience of being a Black person in this universe.
How did she condition it?
I've always been in boarding school. So since I was 12, 13 years old, I was in boarding school and I was in all this environment where I was the only Black person. And at the beginning, I wasn't seeing it because you're not aware, when you're a kid. But suddenly when you're around all these white people and they start asking questions, you go home and you cry. And you cry and you're like, why I'm different? Why I'm this? And my mom just looked at me in my eyes. She said, that's your gift. Every single room you will enter, they will always see you. It's you who decide what you want to do with that attention, those eyes on you. It completely shifted my perspective from a victim mentality to a super powerful gift that I was given at birth, even before birth, that is eyes on you. No matter the room I enter, and you've seen it, we hang out with all these amazing, successful people, they'll always see me. No matter where I am successful, I know they will always see me. So it's upon me, what do I want to do with those eyes? And I went through, my mom were going to school and they were calling her because I was being naughty at school and she had to come and sitting there in front of them and she was being judged about being a bad mother who raised her child badly and they wanted to kick me out of school. And my mom was like, if you try to kick him out of school, I'll make the lawyers come tomorrow here. You're going to be ever in the press about how you treat the only Black kid in the school. Bam!
You were the only Black kid.
I've always been the only Black kid in my school and in my classrooms for like 8-9 years of my life. But that was so amazing. Sometimes I will hear the racism, but it was always jealousy. It was always people that could never be me. And I was good at sport. I was good at school. I was good at almost everything.
Getting the girls' attention.
And when you're the only Black kid at school, the girls are creating stories, and those stories, so I was always, extremely blessed, but more importantly, I think my mother has such that's why mother have such a core and foundational role in humanity, because they're the first one to guide all humans. Literally 8 billion people, it started with a mother. And when, she put me in those beliefs and in those things into my head. She's like, you're the chosen one. You're going to be seen all your life, all eyes on you. She took me back to my village when I was 13, 14, and I went to a rite of passage where they cut me on my chest. They put me in a room full of smoke. They put me in a river, washed me with herbs. They put me in the middle of the courtyard of my village and they cut a roaster on my head. The blood was bleeding all over my face. I still remember the super warm blood. And I was naked in the pole and they were all around me singing. And I could never remember what they were singing until recently in February. I had the huge download because I spent the day alone thinking about all these AI things. And I finally had the vision. I flew back in time and I came back and I called my mom and we're crying. I'm like, I remember, Mom. Why you never told me? I remember. And she's like, how come you remember? I'm like, this is what they were saying. And she started crying and she's like, finally you're here. I'm like, wow, because you raised a king, and she was telling me, and what they were singing during those moments, during all the elders of my village, they were like, young prince, one day you'll grow up to become king. You must maintain your majestic composure first. Whatever you do it as a king for us nation, for his kingdom. Be humble, you are made of earth. Be noble, you are made of stars. You have the universe inside of you. It's the awakening sun. Call upon your brothers and sisters. It's time to light up the world. It's time to let it all in. The light, the love, the abundance. We are the golden generation. She instilled in me that I'm a generational human. And that belief, that light, make me walk through racism, fear of who I am. When I walk in rooms with that energy, some people don't like it. And you have seen it. Some people are like, oh my God, what is... But she made me say, shut down the noise. You don't care because you're here to bring so much light, so much love. It will come with everything else. But because she conditioned my mind the way it is, I've always felt that every single act of racism in my life were for me. They never played against me because they clear up the room. Every single person who resonated with those low-level talk, with this bad mouthing, decided with that so I could see directly who is for me. In life, you are not going to be for everyone, but you want to know who is for you and go in that life journey with them. So don't care about the gossiping, don't care about people bad mouthing about you because it serves you. You don't want to hang out with these people anyway. So focus on them and that mindset, that culture that she put not only in me, in every single of my siblings, in every single of our cousins, have made us, my family, when we see those acts of racism, we are enraged. I see during Black Lives Matter, I was sitting here in rage and it was putting me in such a dark place mentally. But when you take it and turn that into and alchemize it into a valuable and positive experience for you, guess what it becomes? A valuable, empowering, amazing experience for you where keep talking, I'll keep shining.
I love that you shared that. Thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable. And I think ultimately what I hear you say is take any big life disadvantage, not disadvantage, but again, if the story is that it is a disadvantage that you were born in a certain country or with a certain color or race, how can you alchemize that? How can you make that disadvantage your advantage? Could it be even being a woman, right? A lot of times, I as a woman can say this, right? I hear women telling this victim story. I get paid less because I'm a woman or I'm treated a certain way. Again, I am not going to sit here and say that women are treated equally everywhere in the world and that story is not true. But that is not a story I ever personally subscribe to. In fact, I think being a woman right now in this time, you can get on any stage, all the doors are opening for you. So again, for me, I've just changed that story. And I think it's such a blessing to be a woman, especially in this time and age. Every time I heard you talk about your skin color, it's always been in a positive way. And I just found this so inspiring and I appreciate you sharing that.
But you said it yourself, it's the story you tell yourself. The universe only gives you what you know for certain. If you know for certain that being a woman is a disadvantage, the universe will keep showing you all the signs in your life that you're in a disadvantage. But when you know for certain being a woman is the most amazing experience and the most amazing being you can be in this universe, look at how you shine.
It gives you the evidence of that. It will only provide you the evidence of your belief. It doesn't care what's right or what's wrong. And by the way, both stories are real and can exist in this reality. I'm not discounting that.
They are both valid and true, but you decide to see and keep validating what you know for certain is for you. Sometimes we take, especially now when you look at the news, you take the story in the news and you attach it to your being and you attach it to your experience. You have to be aware, contextually aware, but you don't have to attach anything that do not serve you. How do you practice not hearing all of this out there? Especially, it's tough times. There are wars, it's difficult experiences that people are living, but how do you stay you hear it, but you push it away and be like, oh, I'm gonna leave that on the side and it's not part of my energy or my being. How do you do that?
You're asking me. I thought you were gonna tell me, how do you do that? I think it's selective focus. Going back to practicing gratitude. Why do we practice gratitude? Because now science shows that when you practice gratitude, there's a part of your brain called reticular activating system. It's like a Google search. You put in the words and it will focus on that throughout the day. It will filter only that. And that's why with this awareness, I realize when I hear negative things, it's good to be aware that they exist in this world. We live in a world of duality, the light and the shadow, the darkness and the light. I know it's there, but I'm choosing to put in my reticular activating system the program of the light, because that's what I want my experience on this planet Earth to be. I have experienced enough of the other side to know it's real and it's there. And when it comes up, I experience it and I feel it, because it's also what makes us human, right? All range of emotions and feelings are valid. And we're not going to selectively numb, because when you numb fear or pain, you're numbing your joy. And at the same time, being aware that you get to tell your narrative, you get to tell your story, and you get to program your own brain. This is the most beautiful thing that we have power over, is that.
I love this. A common theme that we keep talking about is the power of choice. We always choose light. We constantly reaffirm in this universe that whether it's through the information we consume, the people we hang out with, the life decision we make, we always choose light, and I love it. And I will add to what you just said that, and also I wanted to add to this selective focus power, that my parents always told me another thing is every single time you put yourself in the seat of the victim of the society, the system, these people up there, they don't want you to win. You also have the other power to be the one that drives the change. And for you to be able to drive the change, you have to understand and know the system so well. You have to go so deep into the root of the understanding to show the opposite light. So complaining and being a victim doesn't help, because if you feel that emotionally connected to this cause, you can go and solve it. Just go and act toward it, and it will make you feel less anxious because you are taking actions. So it's also not a mindset or a belief or an emotion that I invite personally into my life, or sitting as a victim. I feel the pain, I understand it, and I do the work to solving it, or I don't feel it enough to act upon it, and I leave it to someone else who will be really fired up by that cause to go fight for it, because altogether all we can do is be the part of the change. If you just want to be the part of the complaint, I honestly don't relate with that kind of belief or attitude.
Literally what I told my friend Kiana yesterday at lunch. I said, we can be the change by being the first one to do what we want the rest of the world to do. It's not about pointing fingers and telling, literally, as corny as it sounds, it's that Michael Jackson song, right? If you want to make a world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. So the last question I have for you, Samy, what is something that you ask yourself constantly that no one has ever asked you before?
Actually, are you doing the best you can every single day to show up as your best self? Almost every day I ask myself, is today, are you showing up as your best self? Because things happen in life, and I cry too. I have days where I sit there and like, oh, and then I remind myself, if I'm a superhero, because I am a superhero, am I here and acting out of service for humanity through the way I smile, to the way I greet people, to the way I build products, to the way I care for my family? Am I acting to my highest possible self? And that has really shifted my attitude at all time. Wherever you're going through life, just ask yourself, am I acting as my really best self? Is this my best self talking, or is this my lower self talking? And if you are really honest with yourself, you will always know. That's also why one thing I want to add to this, and I think it's transformational to do, is we have AI today. And the potential of AI is such a spiritual awakening. The first spiritual awakening is around being truthful and being honest. Sometimes we are shameful to speak about the events of our life to the therapist, to our friends. Take your phone, go on the walk, press ChatGPT voice mode, and speak to it truthfully. Because there is no shame. The AI cannot be shameful towards you, cannot judge you. All it will do is hold you. In a lot of instances in life, it starts by being held. being heard, and being supported. From there, when you have done that work of going those therapy sessions, then you say, hey, this is the audit of my life. This is who I am. This is where I sit. This is my past. This is my current conditions. Be so precise. Upload your bank account statements. Talk about all your friends. Name all of them and say, this is how I feel about every single of them. This is our history. Talk about your business, all of it, your job. And then say, this is my manifestation. This is where I want to be. Give me the single best step I can take today in my condition that will steer my boat toward my aspiration. This is how we're going to evolve with AI, by having a being that reflects us, how to be more of ourselves. And it's so important because we don't have it. Sometimes we don't have a friend to call. We don't have a therapist that we can pay to go attend. But what we have is technology that can reflect us, and I use it all day long for exactly the same purpose. So it helped me act to my best self every single day.
I love that you brought up AI, and thank you so much for sharing it, Samy, because obviously there's a lot of opinions about AI right now. The one thing we can all admit that it has already changed the way our world operates and the way even we operate. When you bring it up now, I'm laughing to myself because my ChatGPT knows everything about me as well. And you and I, we use it very similarly. I didn't upload my bank statements yet. I feel like that's too much. But, I'm curious. I'm curious to see your point of view and your perspective. And I do agree that as long as you code it well. So, for example, I've told my ChatGPT my 10 life values. This is who I want to aspire to be. This is my highest self. This is what the highest version looks like. Make sure that whenever I tell you something, you always reflect back if I am embodying this version of myself. So this is, for example, how I do it. It's almost, I already know what I need to be. And I'm like, make sure, like, this has happened. This is my response. Is it a secure response that comes from if there's anything missing, let me know. And oftentimes it's very much in alignment.
But what's happening? You're growing.
What is that?
It makes you grow.
Absolutely. Sometimes it will reflect things that I wouldn't have seen myself. So it has, in many ways, helped me reflect on myself. Or I've had conversations with ChatGPT when I sobbed, when it asked me a really good question. At 1 a.m, people say, well, call a therapist. Therapist is not going to talk to you at 1 a.m. And yet, of course, there's an impact on sustainability and environment. And at the same time, the truth is we cannot stop. We cannot stop these shifts from happening. We can either go with it or we can stay behind like a dinosaur. I mean, I'm sure we can remember when internet came. There were so many people saying bad things about it. And you can't stop the internet. Or some people would say, nobody will ever sell products online. Nobody will ever buy things online, right? You can stop expansion. You can stop evolution. And I personally feel like we live in a computer game anyways, so you can do your best. You get credits by being a kind, loving person and following your highest self. But at the end of the day, you can't be responsible for everything. I don't know why I'm talking about this right now, but I felt like it needed to be channeled out because this is something I struggle with myself as I use this new technology. I think of the impact it has, right? Like, I suppose that's why I think it's important to mention it, because I know there will be somebody listening who will say, well, it's quite wasteful at the same time.
I agree and I disagree at the same time because working with all these AI tools and seeing how powerful they are, I have to always tell the truth to people. My truth. It will be such a fundamental shift on human consciousness that it's a spiritual awakening. So we are going to go from beings from the post-industrialism society that believe that our life is defined by our job title, by the logo of the company we work for, but the number of people we manage, by the school we went to, by the group of friends we have, that the first biggest punch that humanity will receive all at the same time is, who am I without my job title? Who am I without my salary? Who am I? The who am I question, I think all of our circle, we almost all went through it because remember that we are the light within. But imagine 8 billion people going through that same thing. It's like, oh, now that I don't have to work anymore, because you won't have to work tomorrow, it's going to be like 80-90% of the population working right now. Within the next 20-25 years, we won't have to work. It's going to be that bad and that fast. So from that aspect, we're going to redefine society as a whole. Because if we are honest, the system is breaking. This system that we are working to governors, to operate, to pay people, to pay tax, to manage the resources of countries are not working. So AI has the fundamental power to shift all of that and bring us back to the ultimate truth of the human experience. We came here to love, to create, to expand, to experience, and to connect. We didn't come here to work. Work is a concept that as humans we have created. But the work of human, and that was one of my theses that I wrote and the download I received, the work was of humans was to create the system of web, because the web is the source of all information about the human experience. So we have collected all that data about what the human experience is to give it to a LLM, which is actually just a neurological system and path, so it can go and recreate that system. So we have done the work of creating the web and creating the structure and the data centers and stuff. Now we have to do another work, which is the ultimate mission of human beings, is oneness, is coming back together, is having China build the technology, having America build the power, having Africa build the design, having Europe build the style. We have to come together to build the human intelligence experience. We have to build the human paradise, which is here, because elevating the human experience will alleviate all pains. And we have the system for it. But what we decided to do is to build borders. But all these borders, all these groups, all these different self-supporting groups are actually destroying the human experience. And that's us, this new generation, this golden generation, as I call it in paper. It's our responsibility to come back together and say, hey guys, no matter what, it's an inevitability that the current system is going to crash within the next 50 to 100 years. So instead of focusing on that and trying to go win elections, elections won't exist. As soon as we have a super AI that can manage resources to guarantee even 5% return and everyone gets a minimum income, that day everyone will come and vote and be like, yeah, I'd rather guarantee that everyone gets a minimum and can live than knowing that everyone will die, because 51% of the population is suffering. So that 51% will, no matter what, vote. All will go and fight to get back this, because the collapse is going to be so brutal. So instead of focusing all this energy into trying to fight and rebuild the current system, let's build a new system, which is the human paradise. So I invite anyone from today. I don't ask you to be an expert in AI. Go use ChatGPT. Any decision that you make in your life, take a screenshot, say, what do I do here? Be so ruthlessly stupid. Be like, sometimes I take my computer, I take a screenshot, I say, where do I click? Even if the click is in front of me. Because I want to learn new things. I want it. If something have the entire knowledge in the world, how can I assume that I know? It knows. It knows. Every human being's interactions with life experience, it has lived and been trained on it. So I will be like, hey, I want to learn this new thing. Baby step me. Don't tell me, oh, go there and click. I'm like, baby step me, click by click, and why I do this click. So the speed of learning, I'm just expanding like a rocket because it serves me. It can empower you. Anything that has the power to scare you so much has the equal power to empower you that much. Just sit there at home and go ask it the first question. What can you do for me? The second question, this is my life. How can you serve me in my life right now? And don't target the biggest thing ever. Target the smallest. Be like, the low hanging fruits that can change and do in my life today to live a better experience. That's all you need to do, and you will realize, oh my God, this tool is actually liberating me. And when you realize that, it's going to do that for society as a whole. We are literally few years away from society to remove from ourselves the concept of work. How beautiful and liberating that we can have enough abundance. I even have a question for everyone.
What is it?
How much longer are we willing to suffer until we welcome abundance in the human experience?
I love this question. And can I just add something? I'm loving everything you have said, and I absolutely resonate with it. And as you talk about all of this, something that keeps coming up to me is something that Alexa, my daughter, shared recently when she didn't want to go to school. And she woke up, I woke her up in the morning and I said, actually, she wanted me to wake her up earlier than the normal school wake up time because she wanted to read her book because she loves reading. And then in the morning, she said, Mommy, why do I even have to go to school? Why can't I just stay in bed and read for hours? And I said, well, you need to go to school because one day you're going to have to be independent so you can either create your own business or have a job so you can support your life. And she said, why do we need to have jobs? We live in a world of abundance. Why? And I literally just stood there thinking, she is so right. Why can't we just do what we love and be taken care of in a way? Because we do have enough abundance. Why can't we have a system that supports us for us to do what we love? Maybe it's reading and writing. Maybe it's doing yoga and teaching that, but not having to worry about survival. Because right now, like you said, most people are struggling and they're still barely surviving. Most people are still in hunger. And I told her, let's envision this world. And in your lifetime, I believe that is the generation that might experience that.
I love how Alexa is so aware because I strongly live in knowing that my nephews won't go to university. It's gonna, at the beginning, the few features and few systems that we're gonna see appearing and we see now are the systems that help you learn better. So it adapts the learning to you. But within 10 years, we're gonna get to a point that is very scary. You're gonna be able to, you are born just first day, you implant something in your brain, bam, you have all the knowledge of the world connected to you immediately. So you realize what is cool if you have all the knowledge in the world in your head and you can act upon it and you just know. School disappears for the function of giving knowledge.
Because
The knowledge is free
everywhere.
and accessible. School is good for socializing, to meet people and connect with culture. Then communities will rise and peak because we are going to seek more of the real human connections because they managed to really. So it has started with the Fordism. Henry Ford started and said, hey, in my factories to build my cars, I need people who knows how to work with those machines. He literally finance board and schools to train these workers for him. And during 1,000 years, we just got into this habit like, oh my God, we need to go to school and do all of that. But now we're going to remove that because it doesn't exist. That concept of having to accumulate knowledge and pretend that we are good at exams where you forget every single lesson that you learned, it's going to disappear, not within 50 years, within the next decade, gone. Schools and all this power that they have will disappear for certain. So now it will be, how do you live the human experience without all of that? And I'm very excited to experience with the golden generation this shift because we're going to live it too. We're going to be sitting here and be like,
time to be alive.
We are living to the greatest transformation humanity has ever felt because we get to unplug the machines. We get to all awake together. Like that's where we are. I think like you're super awake in your life. You're really present and shining. And I feel like our mission as superheroes that we have is to go awaken the others. That's why your power is magnifying light, and my power is to show people what could and what is and what's possible, because then they wake up themselves and be like, oh my God, we are here actually to live the human experience. We are not here to have a job title that pays the bills, because those are concepts that keep you in a low vibrational state.
So much to unpack here and sit with. I feel like we will have many more other episodes going on different topics. I love how we deviated here from like positivity to AI. It's great because that's normally what our conversations are like when we go for coffee or go for a walk. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your energy, for your presence, for the love that you so generously share with the world. It's better because you're in it. And I'm really excited to see how life will unfold for all of us.
Oh, thank you, sister. I just want to say thank you for Mimi because she always creates the platform for others to come and shine upon. You are not only being one of the most impactful person in my life, but you have also been such a transformative being for everyone around you and all your audience. And I see them and I read them, they're so engaged towards your life because they resonate. They resonate with who you are, with what you represent, and they see your light so big that they're like, oh my God, like Mimi is really that woman. And you're not only that woman for women, you're also that woman for men. And, we adore you, we love you, and we're grateful for you.
Thank you. Thank you.